Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Baka podcast.
Baka. It's amazing how every time you open your mouth, you prove you're an idiot.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to an episode of Baka. We are an anime podcast that every 2 weeks, my three idiotas, including myself, watch an anime. We come together on this podcast. We talk about it. We review it. We discuss our theories, our questions, and then we turn everything over to the much smarter audience. We get their feedback. We get their corrections. We get deeper information from the lore. That's how it's supposed to work. That's what it's all about. This week, we watched the second season of Tokyo Ghoul. Now, our last regular episode, we did talk about the first season. So if you are just jumping in here, when we're doing our spoiler part, we're just going to be jumping right into names and plot as if you have been keeping up. So you might want to go back. But to talk about season 2, let me introduce my co-host. First off, we have the blade to my vampire, Jeremy. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Wesley Stein.
Blade is awesome. I am so happy I got to be this character. This was the first vampire movie that I'd seen was the Blade series, and great stuff.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out if that's weird for a first.
Yeah, there's Underworld, right? But I enjoyed that.
From Dusk Till Dawn, but you were probably too young to see that when it came out.
Yeah, if I saw any, it was probably just little snippets on the satellite.
Interview with the Vampire?
I only saw that when Tanya made me, and then I was like, okay, this is actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, her lore is pretty good.
I always thought there was a lot more romance in that one than there really was.
I mentioned Blade recently to my teenage daughters, and they did not know what I was talking about.
Are you kidding me?
I'm like, he's a superhero vampire slayer. He's one of the first Marvel movies ever. They're like, Dad, you're old. Go away.
I think is there 3 movies? I think there's 3 movies.
Yes, there was 3 Blade.
The third one wasn't. It was a bit more cheesy, but it was still good.
And fun fact, he showed up in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon for a couple episodes.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Was he hunting the vampire bat guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. What are you even up to, Jeremy? Did you?
Well, actually, I finally got around to playing some of the ROMs that I've downloaded in the past that are hacks, like they're new translations. So,
but super legal.
Well, so, yeah, it's completely because Snap. And
well, that's not my business.
So I don't remember if it's Final Fantasy V Plus or 5 Spoof, but I got both of them, and I've been playing one of them, and it is fantastic because Final Fantasy V has an awesome job system on it, but it's so bland. Like, there really is almost no story to it. You literally are just going from crystal to crystal getting your jobs. But this, oh my God.
It's a story about a love between a man and his chocobo. What are you talking about?
Well, and that's actually, they play some pretty good jokes about that too. Chocobo is kind of a jerk. But yeah, it's really enjoyable. If anybody does ROMs, I recommend, check out the hacks. They're really
okay. All right, our other much more legal is the Spock to my Vulcan, Jason. Zachary Quinto, not Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, you son of a... I've been recovering from sinus surgery. It's been awful. But hopefully I'll be able to breathe soon. So there's that.
Yes, for the YouTube, Jason has his camera turned off because he looks like a ghoul.
Yeah, he doesn't want to scare you.
Which is thematic.
Well, hold on. I don't look like a ghoul from the show. I look like a ghoul from, say, Blade.
Yeah, there you go.
Guys, did you catch the theme of the names?
Spock and...
What do Spock and Blade have in common with Tokyo Ghoul? They're half-breeds. Half-breeds.
Oh, I was trying to figure out, like, Blade doesn't have pointy ears, so...
There's so many more I could have done. Alucard, Inuyasha. But
yeah.
This is what I went with,
Yeah, I got a bunch of Castlevania wrong.
Do we win anything, or was this just Never mind.
Jeremy wins something. Jason, you're humiliated.
I'm still trying to figure out why. Spock's
It's just a generic response.
My name is Troy. I guess that did I mention I finished Castlevania?
No.
On Netflix? It was fantastic. It was great. It is everything American animation should be.
I heard a bunch of vampires get put to sleep with daggers. Am I right? By their brother? No? Creighton Crowbar. What did you do to me?
What?
I heard it from another podcast, but now I'm questioning whether or not I understood them correctly.
Yeah, I don't really know what that means. I mean, maybe there's a lot of cool stuff, but in one of the major fight scenes, and I've been really jonesing to share it with you guys, but I haven't, in case you do choose to watch it, because there's a lot of spoilers. The big fight scene, they play the video game music from what's considered one of the best Castlevania games. I'm not a Castlevania guy, and I was just so into it. As soon as that music started playing, I was like, oh yeah.
Was it you say red levels of excitement, or
in a very different way?
Okay.
You know, it wasn't like
You didn't get up
shonen,
and start doing
let's
the
do
thing.
it. It was like the Hot Topics version of You Say Run. Let's say that.
Oh, okay. Very good.
All right, so let's talk about the second season of this anime that we watched. Like I said, we have done season 1 before, and let's go to our non-spoiler review and hear from the nasally sounding Jason.
So anyway, I was thinking. I actually enjoy. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as the first season. And I felt the ending was more profound than I was able to grasp. And I think I have some things I want to talk about later in this episode about that. But as far as a whole, I did enjoy it. And it's funny because we were talking about this in the pre-show. If you were to consider this a shonen, and specifically a battle shonen, I actually enjoyed the quieter moments and the relationships way more than I did any of the battles. So they did a really good job of the writing department this time, like more so than the first season. But as a whole, I think I enjoyed the first season more.
All right, Jeremy, what'd you think?
I'm pretty close to the same there. I really enjoyed it. The quiet parts were great. I still really enjoyed the combat, but I have a lot of little nitpicks with different things about this season. I still really liked it though.
So in season 1, I was probably the lowest. I thought it was all right. You know, the ending was really good in season 1. Season 2, I felt fixed a lot of the problems, especially in the second half. When this hits the second half, episode 7 and on, this thing is running on all cylinders, and I feel like they found their footing. I still had some issues from first season that were carrying over in the earlier episodes, but we'll talk about those more. What I did kind of, in my opinion, this is not a good battle shonen anime, and it's not a good horror anime, but it's a really good melodrama anime. And it kind of comes down to what Jason said. Those quieter moments are like some of the best moments. When the fight happens, I'm not jonesing for like action. I'm like, stop. Why? Don't hurt each other. So
pacing, Troy, pacing. You can't have solid melodrama.
Yeah, okay. But all I'm saying is, if that's what you're looking for, I think you'll really enjoy this. If you're coming in here looking for My Hero Academia, again, that's not what you're getting. And I think that could throw some people off, because they're like, if they see the shonen tag and be like, oh yeah, cool battles. Not so much.
I'll have to say, the animation of the battles was beautiful. I mean, it was just as good as the first season.
I don't feel like they're that special.
That was the thing, is I don't think the emphasis of the storytelling is on the battles, but more of the philosophical undertones of why they're battling. Because it showed it. It's very much, you have bad guy over here doing bad things, and then you have ultimate good guy who's going to stop bad guy with his ultimate good guy force.
Right, willing to give his all and sacrifice everything for the great good.
And this is very much, I need to exterminate you to protect my livelihood in the same way you want to do the same to me, and can we justify those at all? Yeah, so we'll dig deeper more into that as we go on, but I think that's a huge difference between this and normal shonen. And wondering, can you even give this a shonen tag? Yeah, it's got multiple seasons, but I mean,
does that make it more like a seinen? Is that what it is? Where it's like it's for a little bit older audience that wants to have more philosophical depth?
yeah, I don't know.
From that definition you just gave me, I would say yes.
I will to make sure, but I think that's
don't give Jeremy a win.
Okay, Jeremy wins all the time. That's fine.
That's true. He does.
It's me who picks Kisniver. Let's face it. Okay, let's.
You had to bring it up, didn't you?
Always. Let's talk about the opening and the outro. And I have so much to say about the outro, but I'll let you guys start. Jason, what do you think of these theme songs?
Again, I'm going to need you guys' help because, I went.
You skipped them and you missed it, didn't you?
I did not skip the endings. I skipped the intros because the intros, it was nice, but it wasn't something that jazzed me for the show, and I wasn't like into it, right? And then the endings, I just didn't get the profoundness that you guys were going on. So maybe Jeremy can help fill me in on why they were so great.
Well, Troy actually caught this. I didn't notice. I liked the music and I thought that the art was beautiful, but
that. The art was great.
Oh yeah, but I did not like what I caught was the undertone of how the watercolor art perhaps portrayed the character with more atmosphere. So like everything you're seeing the character do in the anime, this art actually really captures that in the expression and the pose of the character. And that's what caught my eye, but Troy actually caught something different.
Well, mostly. Okay, so for the intro, I was met on. I actually skipped most of the time. I thought the music was pretty, but it's definitely not something that I was chosen to listen to. And the imagery I found kind of dull. I get it had a meaning, but it just didn't really do it for me. After the first time, I actually did skip the intro. Okay, so for the ending, almost 100% agree with what Jeremy just said. That's really what was drawing me to it, especially once I really noticed that, hey, this outro credit scene is different than the last outro credit scene, and then again and again, and just the way it was drawing connections of characters, like because it would show like a group of characters and then move over to another character who was having a similar issue or something, but wasn't in the same storyline, and I really was enjoying that. But then there was one of the outros where they're watching the main character have the end of his battle 2 episodes ago on the news. They're watching the news, but what's playing in the outro water style art is the anime. And I was like, that's so cool. And then in the final episode, every art image is around the main character, just kind of forming this world that has been building around him in the story. And like Jeremy said, with the watercolor art and just the dramatic expression that they're able to bring to these characters in a different form, I was blown away. And just because there was something new to see every outro, it wasn't, hey, here's this that you saw last time. Why not stick around? It was, I want to see what's coming next. And not everyone was perfect. Not everyone was great. And I don't get most their meanings, but it was cool to see. It was just a really artistic, creative idea to bring to end credit anime.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The intro actually I really enjoyed because the imagery of it was, like you said, kind of bland, but at the same time, the dissonance of the music, which is something that I actually really like Coheed and Cambria, Imogen Heap. I love music that just kind of goes all over the place. And
it was pretty. I especially love the sound of the piano and
but having that dissonance combined with watching this character and all the flowers and everything and how they use that as like symbolism. Some of the characters talked about flowers and who was what based on the different meanings for the word flower, which interestingly, in just kind of glancing at information about seinen, the way that it's written is slightly different. So yes, it's definitely aimed at an older audience, like college level, but they actually use a different form of writing. And if I'm understanding this correctly, they use kanji more prolifically, or they use it more difficult, more complex kanji, or something like that. Because it's something that they actually have reading aids in shonen that are geared toward older young audiences that will help them understand if they include like kanji. But when you get to the shonen or the seinen, the reason I'm bringing this up is because in season 1 and in season 2, there's a lot of discussion about meanings of kanji, and there's a lot of drawing of kanji. And I'm kind of wondering if that's kind of an indicator of it fitting into that category where you need to fully understand it well.
Just FYI, that's not an English dub.
Oh,
that's they talk about reading a lot, and there's a lot of literary discussion, and can you help me with this word and stuff,
yeah.
but
really they don't.
The deeper meaning of kanji, and I can think of one scene where he helped him write a name. Anyway,
yeah.
We do need to move into our spoiler section though. So, spoiler warning. I feel like there's going to be a lot to discuss here. This might be one of our longer episodes, so I'm going to try to keep us at a good pace. But this anime had so many characters, and we're going to talk about every single one of them. That was important. So, spoiler warning. If you have not seen it, if you want to see it, this is your chance. We're going to rip the Band-Aid off. Here we go. Episode 1, we're back with Ken Kaneki, who just got tortured and then killed his torturer.
And ate him.
Ate part of him.
Yeah, there was a little bit left, so someone
else there's got to be a lot left.
But he did cannibalize it.
He did cannibalize.
Maybe it's his stomach acid is just so crazy. Left a trail of sludge behind him.
So quick thoughts on the changes of this character, who's obviously he's almost like a new character in this season. What are your guys' thoughts on Ken Kaneki now?
I was a little disappointed with the way they handled him in this entire season, because he ended up kind of doing a little bit of a backseat as far as main character. Because I really wanted to find out more about this hybrid that was going to end up like going about his transformation and what it meant for him and what other transformations that might be. And actually, you had mentioned, Troy, that you were concerned about this, that they might do like a Bleach thing where he all of a sudden it's Ichigo making another transformation. Oh, he's not really human, but
he's half human, he's half Quincy, he's half Hollow, he's half this, he's a Kookaburra. I don't know that.
Right. So, but like I said at the beginning, I really enjoyed the anime because of the relationship quieter moments. And I think if Ken was in the way, I think we would have been able to get the story that we got.
Mm-hmm.
So on the one hand, I was a little disappointed that we didn't get more time with him. But on the other hand, I really appreciate it. So as far as Ken as a whole, I don't feel I got to know him in his new form.
Okay.
I definitely felt like I had to fill in a lot of blanks for him. I didn't have too much trouble filling them in as far as like what his motivations were, or at least how they seemed to me. And I could totally be wrong because I haven't verified any of it. It's just my
So we're in the spoiler section. What do you think is his motivation? Because he, right after this, he kind of helps a little bit with these fights, which, by the way, they do not play out these fights that they set up. They're just like, hey, there's fights, and they happened.
Yeah. And quite often one side is just so overpowered, there's nothing the other side can do.
Right. Or one side's just like, yeah, I'm not fighting, I'm leaving.
Yep.
He leaves his friends, and he's like, I'm going to go join the bad guys that kidnapped me and be with them. Aogiri Tree is their name. So what in your mind was his motivation for that?
So I thought that when he was talking about, I'm not going to kill you, I know the reason why you're with Aogiri, when he's talking to Toka's brother, told us why he would join Aogiri. He joined them for the same reason Toka's brother did, which is to protect. So he sees them as an opportunity to kind of get in. Like, if you watch in his combat sequences, he rarely kills humans if he doesn't have to. He'll often disarm them instead of drawing blood. So, and he'll even try and create situations where, like, maybe Toka's brother would leap in and kill humans, but he's like, no, we don't have time to eat right now. So, not that you would actually eat the people you kill. So it seemed clear to me that he was joining them because he thought that was how he could protect Anteku. Would perhaps guide.
That's not what I got.
Yeah, I got that later on in the anime because they basically spell it out that you wanted to get stronger and you saw Irigari the only way to do it. in this moment in the first episode, it felt like one of those, I'm a danger to everyone around me, especially that people know my face. So I'm going to go somewhere where I can be of some use, but also not endanger the people I care about. That's what I took from it.
That's fair.
So my assumption was that building off of what had happened with Jason at the end, and him deciding I will do whatever it takes to win. That a little bit of what Jeremy said, that I want to protect, but to do that, I need to go kill. I need to get out there and I need to fight and I need to eat and I need something that's going to put me in those situations. And a peaceful coffee shop ain't it, Chief.
Okay, I didn't get that at all.
So my assumption was he joined Aogiri to go
get in
to
with the
fight. To get next to the power hitters and be like, okay, how can I become one of them?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't get that, but I do see how you could get that because the later sequence where he's like, he sees all the ghoul bodies and he just starts munching away and then freaks out. It does make sense from that perspective. But yeah, I didn't get that either.
And they did even before that. Isn't there a scene where the gourmet says he's been cannibalizing even before the prison scene?
Yes, I think. Let's see. He goes and he reports to the old guy at I don't remember with whether that's before or after.
It's in my notes somewhere. I'll point it out when we get there.
Okay.
So my thoughts on Ken was pretty close to Jason's, except for he was kind of one of my annoyances in season 1. So I was more okay with the fact that he got pushed to the back seat. I probably would have been okay because I do find him more interesting. I did really find his arc interesting, though, because at the end of this season, he realizes the lesson he learned at the end of season 1 didn't help.
You were absolutely right about the finger cracking being that guy was now in his head too. I mean, we even get a shot of the inside of his head and the guy's in there.
Yeah. But the whole do whatever it takes to win and protect the things you love. And then when he chooses to do that, he still loses the things he loves. And so now he's looking for option 3, right? Yeah. And I like that arc, that this is a guy trying to find the best way to just exist in this world, and the things he's trying are wrong.
Yeah, they're not working.
we called out that it was cool that was the lesson he learned, right? Like, survival of the fittest, become the alpha, and that this season then turns it on its head and says, yeah, how well did that work?
Yeah, it kind of does. It's almost like what it does is it says, hey, not acting was a mistake, absolutely, but did you really pick the best action? It's better than not acting, but at the same time, it's certainly not optimal.
Right. So that was my thoughts on him. He joins up with Aogiri. We also see his friend Hide, who we learned this season definitely is very aware of the things that are going on. I actually loved when he called out that I was awake that one time.
Yeah, I've known the whole time, man.
So, guys, thoughts on Hide? Jeremy, he was kind of your standout too.
I really liked Hide because I had my suspicions in the first season that he was completely aware just because of how much he was investigating ghouls. And realizing that essentially he was sort of seeing himself as the odd man out because their friendship kind of changed out of Kaneki's attempt to protect him, really, and find his own place in Anteku. And so he saw Kaneki kind of forming a family with them and felt left out and excluded. But at the same time, he knew, oh, crap, this is going to completely change the dynamic of our friendship. This is incredibly dangerous. And the way that he managed to kind of insert himself into the Doves and into the CCG, is it CCG? Yeah. Into their organization as just a delivery boy that eventually winds up in their armor and on the battlefield just so that he can be close enough to try and affect things, to try and help. Mm-hmm. It was really fascinating. It seemed like he was a character that showed a lot of reckless maturity. Like he really wanted to do everything he could, even if it put himself in way more danger than would have been logical. So,
Jason,
I I was frustrated with the writing when it came to Hide because I think he could have had a bigger impact throughout the anime, so that at the end it meant more to me. I was about to say the viewer, but apparently you guys got more affected than me because in the ending scene, I was just like, okay, where have you been? Like, yeah, you've been a delivery boy, but like, how'd you get that armor? Why are you there? And what happened to you? Like, we don't know anything about this character except what we knew from season one, and now here he is for this big moment. I felt it. I don't know. It didn't pay off for me.
Huh.
It didn't feel earned.
Okay. I feel like I know the answer to all those questions, but maybe we can touch on when we hit the episode.
That sounds good.
Okay. Hide for me, I complained last season that he was an emotional MacGuffin, and I feel like that came true.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely, his role in the story is to be a motivator for Ken to push him over this character arc. But I do think they handled him well and made him integral in the plot instead of just, if he had just been sitting home and like a scene every couple episodes and not trying to be active, the fact that he's trying to get involved in the story and he's so far out of it, and he's just working so hard to get back to his friend and be the help he wants to be. I appreciated that in the writing.
Mm-hmm. It's like he knew there was an anime and he really wanted to be in it.
Meanwhile, there's one of the big battles we do get to see is the one-eyed owl, who is Yoshimura, the old man from the coffee shop. We should talk about him. We didn't really talk about him in our last episode because he just kind of was a little bit a part of the plot, but he's much a bigger factor now. Especially, he is like the white whale for the CCG and these dove hunters. And this battle is really cool, especially because the doves have the prototype armor, which is basically ghoul flesh that they cover themselves in and get super strong. But what did you guys think of Yoshimura?
I loved Yoshimura.
Yeah.
Good character.
He is so deep, and we don't spend the kind of time with him that you would with a normal character, but the writing was done so well with him just being world built into it that you get one half episode flashback for him and everything falls into pieces, all the pieces fall into place, and you find out you've got this guy, hired killer, that was near sociopath, that is now reforming ghouls.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he is so powerful. He can take on multiple of these dudes, and and when they, at the end of season one, when they reported that he was there, they were like, okay, you're gonna die if you stay, but we gotta fight him anyways. So if you're not prepared, you go. Because if you do stay, we do need you to fight him, but you're gonna die. Because this guy is so powerful, and I love the way he's drawn in his ghoul form, because he's this massive monstrosity that is just a powerhouse in the battlefield, and you have no idea, or at least I didn't have any idea, that it was Yoshimaru until this season.
Yeah, I absolutely love this character for all those reasons. I have one tiny nitpick, but it's more with this the way that things mechanically work in this world and the rules of this world that I don't understand. And maybe the manga goes into this and explains it, but I don't understand what allows a ghoul's ability, their Kagane, to change the way his changed. Because initially it was like any other ghouls. It was just a single tentacle thing that wrapped out of one arm, more or less, right? But over time, it turned into two, one on each arm, and then he's got like these spikes coming out of his back, and then he's got a full-blown cloak, and then he's got a mask, and
he's a Kakucha.
He's one of those ghoul eaters.
Yeah, he even said in his flashback, "I ate humans and ghouls."
Interesting. Okay, so that's what it was.
Right.
That's why Kaneki is getting that partial mask when he changes.
Right. And I think that really reminds me of becoming a hollow and bleach. But yeah, if you cannibalize ghouls enough, you have the ability to grow a mask. Because there are 3 characters we see who could do that. where they organically grow a mask, and all three are known ghoul eaters.
Interesting. I'm a little bit frustrated, like you mentioned earlier, that they even introduced that so early. Because, like, come on, man.
We're still getting used to the fact there's a hybrid, and we're like, we don't even know what a hybrid can do, and yet we're now moving on to the next level.
Yeah, and the reason that this irritated me so much is the way it cascades into Ammon and what his power level must be for him to do the things he does later. And I am having a lot of trouble figuring out where the different characters sit on the big power level grid to really understand what's at stake when so-and-so meets so-and-so on the battlefield.
Right. But how are they outclassed?
Yeah.
Well, it's purely his Queequeg. I mean, without him, he's nearly powerless against any ghoul.
But even so, I mean, a human can only move so fast, right? Like the speed.
Well, he's training, right?
Yeah. How many thousands of push-ups?
I don't go into that scene yet because I want to really talk.
You want to relish that one?
Okay. Also, at this fight is Amon Kuroko. So real quick. Oh, also, I love Josh Shimura. He was great, fantastic. Thank you. Well, actually, one thing I do want to say this season, I felt in so many different characters that were either throwaways or we even called it out. There's just characters that just show up with no explanation and they're there. This season, like, laps back, gives them the backstory they needed and makes them integral to the plot and the story and makes me care about these characters.
Like, really matter.
Right. And Yoshimura is, like Jason said, is one of them. They went back and they took the time to make Yoshimura matter to me. Because in the last season, I was just like, meh, he's old man who's there. And I cared about him the same. But now Amon, he obviously is almost the second main character of this season. And in fact, the whole CCG cast, his team really becomes almost the focus for a lot of this. So what did you guys think of him?
I love Amon. He's this conflicted. It would be a not chaotic good. It'd be righteous good, or
like lawful good with brains.
Yeah, lawful good. Yeah. So yeah, he's conflicted. He's 100% conflicted. And you can see it in his last fight with Kaneki. He's just like, both of them are looking each other dead in the eye, going, "I wish we didn't have to fight." And they like agree on this concept, but they still go at it anyways.
And somewhere Goku's just throwing up,
right? But yeah, his arc, the situations he's in, his stoicness didn't feel cliche at all, and his relationship with Maru, his partner,
right?
Just fantastically well written and nicely complicated. And she even calls out, "That is so like you." It's so like he is a perfect conflicted good guy character that is trying to do his best and just cannot seem to get the right answer.
Yeah, absolutely. All that. One of my nitpicks is I don't understand how he's physically so capable. If humans really just have their power when they're facing ghouls from the Kinkies,
Queequegs.
I know I'm going to say that.
In Jeremy's defense, I feel like they just make up the most random names for some of this stuff.
They really do.
The Kagane, the Kukurokos, the Makanakanis.
Right? Yes. It's a very difficult one to remember, that one. And so, like, when he doesn't even have it, he still is so, like you said, we'll get into that topic when we get to that episode, but
he's power boosted in the final fight, right?
I thought the power boost entirely came from his Kinki.
It did, because it went onto his arm. It's that prototype armor a little bit, so he's getting ghoul strength.
I still don't understand where he's like, oh, she reprogrammed it for me or redesigned it for me. I'm like, how do you redesign it? I thought it was what you rip off of a dead ghoul.
Well, it broke when he fought Ken the first time. It's the weapon from the season 1 that got broke. So
he's cool though. I like him.
I love Amon, I actually prefer him as the main character, and I think he's one of the reasons this season is better is because he's the focus, and his conflict
That's fair.
is, I feel, more relatable than Ken's is to me. And also his romance is fantastic. I really like the character. Yeah. The one-eyed owl manages to win. I love that those prototype armor literally eat them alive as they use it.
Right.
That was so cool. One thing though about this whole anime that I just gotta say, so many characters are like, "Oh, I'm dying. I'm okay. No, I'm fine, guys. I'm fine." And there's even like really dramatic death scenes that are totally deserved and earned that they take away from us.
Yep. That was one of my nitpicks as well. Like, so many of the deaths would have paid off so well if they had just left it alone and let the character die. It kind of undermines some of the development based on those deaths.
Yeah, I agree.
One more character we need to touch on is Toka. You know, she gets rescued by Ken from her own brother before he leaves to join her brother. So your guys' thoughts on her development through this?
It was interesting because you took this character that was established as a more powerful character in the first season, and then now you've got damsel in distress, and I'm not sure if I like that.
Someone called her Rukia last season, and I think they nailed that.
Yep, there was something about his arc. I just knew he was going to jump past her so fast.
You know, the saving Rukia arc is is like the peak of Bleach for me. But yeah, you nailed that trope on the head.
Yeah.
I like how for her, because she's no longer a powerhouse, she doesn't just sit there and not do anything and wish she could join in the fights. She actually goes to school. You know, she's finishing high school, which I totally didn't click last season. It did not click that she was in high school. I thought she was in college with her college mate, you know, but no, she's in high school, I guess. And so she starts college, and I think that it's really cool to see her taking a different path, basically, because she knows she can't play with the big boys in the field right now. They're too powerful. You know, Anteku's bringing in their heaviest hitters just to stay alive, basically. And so getting to see her sort of come to terms with almost what she wants as a relationship with Kaneki was interesting to see, because in the first season, it's very clear she's not interested in him at all. She even detests him for quite a bit, but he slowly starts to grow on her. And that was an interesting one to watch. Very subtle, quiet background development for her.
Okay. Jason?
Yeah, I think her switch to the damsel distress almost background character was an interesting move, but I think it worked well. But the angst between her and Ken was, I don't know, it didn't feel good watching. Usually that's pretty tropey, but it is what it is.
My thoughts on Toka is that I'm a little. I didn't like that they went with such a tropey, and it isn't just this, but they went with a tropey. Now that the boy is broken, I'm in love with him, so I can fix him. I felt like they kind of pushed into that, and I'm not a fan of that. I haven't been a fan of that since it was in Gundam Wing, when the main girl falls in love with the main character because he's a child soldier and she has to save him.
You didn't think that she was already kind of falling for him in the first season?
She was. You're absolutely right. She was. That's why I was saying it's not really just that they were kind of starting to form a relationship, but it's like as soon as
into the trope, though.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like as soon as he's like this broken shell of a man, now she's like, I'm gonna go to his college and wait for him. And I'm like, did you see the same guy I did? All right.
Which it was also interesting to find out that this college is renowned for being a place that's very hard to get into. Very, very, very intelligent, highly intelligent students go here, and Kaneki was there.
Right.
So that gave us a little bit more insight into him too. It's interesting.
Okay. In the next episode, we kind of meet more of the CCG, and they're kind of reviewing how this battle went. We get to see a lot of the like top agents or heads of the divisions. Like we learned this thing has division heads, and the one guy we saw wasn't the head of the CCG. He's like a branch leader.
Mm-hmm.
And we see a bunch of branch leaders, and they talk about like of course the most powerful guy isn't here because we had to wait for the end of the season for him to show up.
Didn't like that, but that was okay. It's shonen. What can you?
Yeah. And then we get to Amon's team. He's visiting his grave. He's been promoted. Hide is secretly working for the CCG, and Amon meets his new partner, which is Mado's daughter, Akida. And they meet at her father's grave, and she's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm your new partner." And she's like, "Oh, business. I'm here to be perfect." But she's got more going on underneath. So what did you guys think of her? And you guys can kind of branch into, if you want, into Sato, who's the guy who's like her rival from school. And when he finds out they're in the same department, he's like, "Oh no, she was valedictorian. I was valedictorian. Now that she's here, I'll never be awesome." And Hoji.
His defining moment for me was him filling out his testament.
Oh god!
He just did huge, big old kanji. I don't want to die. That was heartbreaking. That was so heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked her. I thought she was a great compliment. I thought it was a bit tropey that, oh, here comes his daughter. But it got so much more complicated and just really threw a wrench in the whole storytelling, which they handled fantastically. Because instead of the "I'm gonna avenge my father and we're gonna be awesome because I'm his lineage," no, she freaking hates Amon because she blames him for not being there to save his life, and I didn't see that coming. I thought that was great storytelling.
Yeah, I really liked her because they gave her a little bit of introduction because they showed us that there's some blonde woman that's dropping flowers off at the grave in season 1, and wondering who is this. And so when they brought her in the second season, I was just primed. And there's one of the outro images is like crazy old Mado sitting down on a chair, and behind him is standing his daughter Akira, and she's like brushing his hair or something. And it said so much about the relationship that we never got to see between her and her father. And that to me primed me for when she said that to Amon. I was like, "Oh, you're pissed. You don't like Amon right now. You're so mad at him."
Yeah. Also, again, she gives the story an opportunity to go back and add depth to Mado, which they did kind of hint at with the wedding ring, but it's like, that cycle of vengeance that we talked about in season 1. She talks about he wasn't just some crazy guy who murdered ghouls for the sick pleasure of it. His wife was murdered by the one-eyed owl, the one woman he loved, and that became his goal in life. Was like, okay, then I'm going to take you guys out. You took away what I love. I'm taking you guys out, and that's moved on to her, and it so fleshed out that character that now I like that character, which I didn't really care for in season 1 because I felt he was like, oh, he's the crazy psycho killer on the good guys team, and he wasn't just that. But also herself, to be fair, herself I thought was very good. The fact that she had layers, at first she's like, I'm so meticulous and I'm so professional, and then she's actually got a very human and warm side underneath, and
we very quickly learned that she's scrumptious.
It does taste good.
There's that.
I did like how she like walks in and she's like, "No, the binge eater's been gone, guys. Haven't you noticed? No one's been dying for the past 6 months. We can safely assume she's dead, and I can tell you the time and place it happened." That was good. Also, the leader of this department, Shinuhara, comes onto the scene. He was in the fight with the one-eyed owl. He has the weirdest hair. His hair actually bugs me. He was one of the guys in the prototype suit, and we get a lot of time with him. So I want to talk about him because he actually to me, I was like, okay, you could be a main character. You're awesome too. Your guys' thoughts?
At first, I thought he was just boss guy that was there to show Ahmed how to be powerful, and it ended up turning into he's not only a great powerhouse and also character in of himself, but he's got his own motivations and his own and he takes on this father like role to Juzo, which everyone else looks at him and goes, that dude's crazy. Like if there's crazy, that it's that dude. And he takes him on and like cares for him, basically, not just as a partner. So the one thing that kind of bugged me about the whole story though is that especially when Mato pointed out that the 20th ward has been quiet for the past 6 months. Why are they going in for this huge raid when they've got other districts that have ghoul activity?
Are you talking about the raid in the second half of the season?
Yeah, like
entirely for the owl.
Yeah, the one-eyed owl has literally killed so many CCG agents. Like,
so this
we meet so many characters who are like, the one-eyed owl killed this guy, and I knew this guy, and he killed this guy. It's all about that owl.
Okay.
It's all about that owl.
Yeah, it was weird because it's like, why is there so much focus in on the 20th ward when it's been dead quiet for 6 months?
I think they also are partly rightly assuming that the one-eyed owl and Aogiri are connected, and so if they know where the one-eyed owl is, they need to take him out because the task force they form is to take out Aogiri and the one-eyed owl.
Okay.
We know that there's a second one-eyed owl who's actually leading Aogiri, but also when they attacked Aogiri, the other one-eyed owl, Yoshimura showed up, so they're probably thinking, okay, they're definitely together.
Mm-hmm. I also think that Shinohara is just as conflicted as Amon, because there's several scenes where Shinohara he does not act when a person who is not conflicted would act. There's a scene where Ayato, Toka's brother, is completely vulnerable. All it would take is a single swipe and he'd be dead. But Shinohara is somehow
stays his hand.
Yeah, he's observing him and he's trying to understand why this kid is still trying to attack him, even though he's powerless at this point, instead of just swiping and killing him. And there's another scene later where he pretty much knows who the owl is, sits down, has a chat with him, and is not. He's not in a situation where he thinks his life is in immediate jeopardy. So he recognizes that the person he's speaking to is an intelligent creature that isn't going to just attack him outright. And I don't know, there's this sense even of almost like what Amon and Ken have in the last scene, where it's almost like Shinohara doesn't necessarily really want to take out the owl once he meets him and sits down and chats with him and knows it's him. And for that reason, he kind of really seems interesting to me, because you don't see that a lot in the CCG ranks, but to have both these characters share that quality is pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. Great character, especially because when he walked in, I'm like, oh my gosh, another investigator, and just here now, and I'm supposed to know who he is. And then they build him, they fleshed him out, and he carries so much of the drama of the second half. I loved him. Basically, then life returns to normal for most of these characters. The coffee shop gets fixed up. They reopen for business. Hinami, we have a scene where Hinami wants to go to a book signing of her favorite author and Ken's favorite author. It's one of the things they bonded over. And she kind of gets in a fight with Toka about a different issue. And she says she's going alone. She does. And she meets the writer Takatsuki, who we've been seeing scenes of Ken working with Aogiri and the leader of Aogiri kind of spying on Ken. And there's a little bit of a hint that these two characters have the same voice actress. So, what do you guys think of Takatsuki, who's also our leader of Aogiri?
I really wanted to know more about her. They give a lot of hints and they drop a lot of scenes where she kind of appears for a moment. And of course, finding out that she's his favorite writer from before he was a ghoul was fantastic.
Jeremy kind of hinted that last time, didn't he? And he's like, this famous writer, I think he's going to be something.
Yeah.
I really wanted to know more about her. And unfortunately, I really can't give much of an opinion because I don't know enough. I don't have enough information, it feels like.
I don't think she's the leader. At least I'm not convinced yet. She might be, but I think that she's definitely like.
So is it her or the white-haired guy?
I think if anybody's in control, it's going to be the white-haired guy between those two. But they could be equals. I don't know.
Right, they're always together, like watching the battle from afar. So it's kind of hard to tell
who's
leading who here.
Is she Yashimura's kid?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's right. The one that he abandoned in the.
It was subsequently stolen from him. Yeah,
right.
And I love the fact that, and maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I really thought that Yoshimura, when he recounted his history, kept calling the baby a he. So like they were really.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I think they did, and so like they really did a good job of putting the audience off of the trail a little bit, to say, oh no, it couldn't be this dainty little girl in a red cloak that like bandages herself up so much that her eye sockets look empty, you know. But then at the end, you know, she's interesting to me, but I want to see more. She looks like the crazy girl.
I figured it out one episode before the reveal, and again, the voice actress, the other one-eyed owl. As soon as it spoke, I'm like, a woman's the other one-eyed owl? That's a really high-pitched voice. I'm like, oh, that's the same voice. So it wasn't a story. The story was very well done, like you guys said, of hiding it. My ears were just picking up on the English dub actress, which I don't think I would have been able to do with a Japanese voice actor, just because I don't know enough. Because I'm too ignorant. I'm just taking it. So Hinami gets her book signed. The one thing I didn't really like about Tokatsuki is how she's always like, soon. It's almost time. I'm like, and I still don't know what that means.
I'm going to eat everyone.
Is she planning on eating Ken? Is it, I don't know what she's even put in motion other than like.
So we don't know the end game of a shonen anime.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's true. Or was the whole raid her plan to bring all the CCG in?
She dropped the clue.
She did drop the clue.
Mm-hmm.
But what did Ken have to do with that? Like, why did she need Ken? I felt like Ken was her pawn that she needed for this end game. But I don't.
If we were to judge it by any other shonen standards, I would say that she's probably got some kind of machination to make Ken become more powerful through some mental or emotional anguish that he has to suffer. So she's probably setting that in motion.
Okay. Toka gets to go to visit the campus with Mishke, who's not really a main character here, so I didn't listen to someone to talk about. But she actually meets Hide over a wanted poster or a missing poster?
Wanted.
So does everyone knows the identity of Ken is a ghoul now?
Not that he's a ghoul. I think it's more of a, hey, if you see this guy, call this number kind of thing. I don't think they posted his crime. They didn't say, careful, this guy's a ghoul.
Okay, but the CCG is fully aware of his identity?
I think they have a good idea that's who it is, and that's why they're looking for him. He's a suspect at this point.
Okay, that's what. The poster's in Japanese, and I can't read the kanji, but I wasn't 100% sure what was going on here. But she does say, like, as long as these are up, Ken can't come back. And then her and Hide are both, like, actively taking it down. There was a point I had here that I actually told you guys about in messaging, but it didn't really come to fruition where Hide mentions, hey, Ken used to be a great actor. And I was like, oh, God, are they setting something up? And then they didn't.
I was hoping they would, but or maybe it led to hey, he's acting like this tough guy, but in reality, he's still the same Ken, and he wants to come back. He just doesn't feel he can go back yet. He still likes you.
Yeah, in the sub, it actually came off very innocuous. Like, it almost was just in passing, and she can take it and do whatever she wants with it. Just something to talk about, Ken. But yeah.
Other things that happened in this episode, Naki is enlisted into Aogiri. He's one of Jason's underlings. He is obsessed with Jason.
I don't know whether I love or hate this guy.
He didn't have enough screen time for me to end up caring. In the end.
Same here.
All the screen time was him like squealing like a stuck pig.
I was hoping there would be a scene where he realized Ken ate Jason, and that never came to fruition.
The guy that's such a nice guy because he showed you how to write the name properly.
Right. I felt like they were setting that up.
Yeah.
Juzo gets a new weapon made from Jason, which I kind of love.
What's he call it again?
He called it the Jason blade or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. How insulting that is.
And just starts like chopping down servers in the basement of the building. They're like, quit destroying our stuff. And then we get a scene where a bunch of underlings are talking about Ken and the stuff he's been up to. And one of them turns out to be Kiyama, and the other end turns out to be Banjo. And
right.
they take down the underling, like, tell us everything you know. Kiyama is helping look for Ken out of the kindness of his stomach.
Yes.
And then we learn about Cochlea Prison, which is Ghoul Prison. And
this felt like Marvel or DC State Asylum prison for ghouls.
Yeah.
The home of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it's the Raft and Marvel. Like every time, all the in comic books, they're like, we have a prison for super bad guys. Hey, what do you think the bad guys are going to target first?
Why don't they just kill them if they're that powerful, that bad? Like, they don't have a problem killing the smaller ghouls.
For science!
You think it's for science? That's very possible. That's very possible.
I think that's actually a really good question, though, Jeremy. I think that's a really good point, because there's no repercussions of just killing random ghouls you find on the street. That you don't get in trouble for that. So why are we using the justice system on something we think is disposable?
And something that's like SS level or SSS level? Like,
maybe they can harvest, like they're literally using them to make weapons and stuff.
Keep harvesting.
So maybe Jason's right, but it's a good question.
We need more kinkies.
So Amon is sent to this prison at the same time to talk to his priest. This flashback was great, and I loved how. So the flashback is when he was in an orphanage as a boy, the priest running it was a ghoul who was feeding off the children, and he walked in and saw it, and the ghoul just left him behind. And it's always freaked him out. It's actually why he wears a cross. He's not religious. He needs to remember that ghouls suck.
Hard to forget, all your friends.
I absolutely love that he now ties this mentally in with his encounter with Kaneki in the first season when Kaneki let him go after their battle. And he's like, wait, why don't ghouls kill me? What is going on?
I'm protected.
I thought that was so clever just to put that little mental anguish in him of being like, wait a minute, what's happening with me?
Yep.
There's not much actually comes out of this scene. It's really just a setup to get him into the prison, wherein Aogiri attacks it and starts releasing prisoners. Shinohara and Juzo flee run to the prison. At the same time, these ghouls that we actually already met, they're twin ghouls, but they're one-eyed just like Ken. And we find out later that they were actually training to be doves.
But they chose to leave their...
They chose to become ghouls.
Meaning that there is a manual process to become ghouls that might be separate from the way Ken became a ghoul.
Or it might be the same if it's
or
the same.
it might be the same.
Yeah.
Spelled out.
So a lot of battles start happening in this, and we don't have time to talk about all of them. There's characters we need to talk about. I want to talk about Juzo here. This is like one of the first times we really get to see him have a personal battle and how sadistic his fighting style is.
Oh,
and
man.
I know how many times you have to cut a ghoul. what did you? And we learned he actually has a different name. So thoughts on Juzo and thoughts on like what we learned in this season about Juzo.
Before we get into the specifics, during the fight when he was throwing his knives, did anyone else notice that her body was blurred out?
Yeah, so in Funimation it seems censored it.
Which is odd to me that the next scene is him eviscerating the white one, but they show that. So
yeah,
that was weird.
It was an odd censor move.
There is some fantastic videos on YouTube comparing USA censored anime versus their uncensored Japan.
Especially WB. You guys are just insane. I did notice that, but
okay. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't just me. I thought Juzo's fight was really reminiscent of the first season's motto and him fighting ghouls, where there was just this lack of any kind of humanity that they would give to them, and just treat them like lesser than animals, and that they were toys to be hunted. And
but Juzo doesn't seem to have a grudge on ghouls. Juzo just seems to enjoy his
right,
work.
right. Kind of like the kid that I don't know. Juzo reminded me of the kid that you find in the backyard that's been torturing and killing squirrels for the past 3 months, right? Like, this kid needs mental help. He's going to start moving the humans soon.
Make a bond with Shinohara and kill him. Quick.
Right. But like, all three of these guys were quote-unquote friends, but you know, Juzo had just zero issue with not only attacking, but killing both of them. And the scene where he's like, if I kill one of you, does the other one die? Because you're twins.
Yeah.
You are insane.
One thing I really loved, I actually love all of Juzo's flashbacks, and Juzo became one of my favorite characters. The depth they gave him that I did not see coming. I thought he was just going to be, it was very easy. Hey, he was tortured by ghouls and forced to kill. Now he's a psycho killer. But then they just kept fleshing him out. The scene with the twins back at the academy, when they're like, hey, our friend died. Why didn't you come to the funeral? And he's like, people die. People just die. And they grab him and he's like, don't touch me. And it's very clear he's not okay with her dying and just has zero way of processing it. And it was like, that was such a good touch that he's not a full sociopath, but he cannot connect with the emotions of the loss and stuff. And then later, when another character he cares about is lost, and seeing that come out and play out, I thought Juzo was a standout of this season.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's really cool. I actually am curious as to how much of him is human and how much of him is ghoul, because when that woman was torturing him, I kind of wonder if that's all she was doing or if she was also somehow changing him, because his simple capabilities are even called out by the people. His physical capabilities are just incredible. They can't believe it. And so if this is just a regular human, all he had was like a rock in there, and it was nice that they did it. They took it back to the Gluttons Coliseum, right? That he was
right. Yeah, it was the same building.
Yeah, and his mental conditioning to view what he was doing and the pain that he was going to be receiving at the end as a positive exchange. I'm making good boy points, good boy points, good boy points. And so that made me wonder, is the good boy points are they being spent to actually improve him?
Right.
Like, is that what her torture is doing? Is she making him better? And that's why he functions so much better. Kaneki had a bit of trouble, or Kaneki had a bit of trouble with these two one-eyed ghoul girls at the beginning. And at that point, he was already strong enough to take out Jason.
Right.
So
Juzo can go almost one-on-one with the one-eyed owl.
Yeah. How is that possible if he's just a regular human?
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Jason, thoughts?
No, I basically would mirror what Jeremy just said, because he does seem excessively powerful. The two twins, they disarm him, and then all of a sudden, okay, the fact that he had like 47 knives in his cloak was just a fantastic touch to begin with. But the fact that not only was he able to throw them with accuracy, but then just be able to dodge and to move the way he did. Yeah, I don't see how any other human could do that, even with the confidence that Chuzo and craziness that Chuzo has.
Mm-hmm.
So now I want to talk about the twins, and I don't have much thoughts on their characters because I thought they would be a bigger part when I kind
They
of
felt throwaway characters to me.
I think they're future characters.
Yeah, they seem so integral to the lore, like the one-eyed ghoul, and what is a one-eyed ghoul, and where does that come from? And they chose to do that, and they were there to rescue someone who knew about them. But one thing I wanted to call out at this point was all these fights in this prison scene, because I don't understand these characters. Like, I don't know Juzo's backstory yet, and I don't know who these twins are. I'm not rooting for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that kind of... That's why one of the reasons I said this is a bad shonen anime. Through almost all these battles, I didn't care. Even Ken, because I don't fully know his motivations. I don't know if he's a bad guy or a good guy or what he's doing. And he starts fighting a random ghoul who he rescued and then attacks him. I'm like, who do I want you to win? And there's no... The one thing this is missing from shonen anime, there's just no hype. There's no, go Deku. There's no, Goku scream and power up and save the day. It's like, I hope the evil ones die.
Question mark?
The more evil ones, like,
and I think it's better in the second big battles. I did care about characters, and those ones I did care about, even though it still wasn't hype, but it was more, please just don't die. No one die. Everyone survive this somehow. Pull your punches, please. But in these fights, I honestly didn't care about the fights, and I felt that was kind of a shame.
For me, Amon and his partner were in the back of my mind the entire time. Every single fight that I was watching, I was thinking, okay, where's Amon? How's he faring? Because at this point, yeah, he's a powerful fighter, and he's a top CCG agent, but he's got this rookie that he's got to look after, and that's got to weigh him down, and it does. And I think
he even gets bitten and literally weighs him down because he has to help her.
Right. But when Shinoharu walks in, that was probably my favorite moment in this entire prison scene. He's like, this happened, and this happened. How could this get any worse? And then
Kaneki.
Yeah, he drops in. Oh, great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought again with Ken, I was confused because why is he there? Who is he saving? Who is this guy? Because I think this is the only time we see him for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he attack Kaneki? And what are the ramifications? Like, I'm kind of on board with what you were saying, Troy, as far as what's going on and who do I root for. I think the only ones that I was really worried about the entire time was Amon and his partner.
That makes sense. Any additional thoughts, Jeremy?
I'm still trying to figure out who that guy was. I know that he wanted Risei for some reason, but that's
right.
But everyone does.
Yeah, everybody wants Risei. Well, I mean, she does open the entire first season naked, standing on a pile of corpses. What more could a ghoul want, right?
Was it just me, or did his Kagane look like a whale tail?
A dolphin tail.
A dolphin tail. Okay.
Tail thing, yeah.
I love that he rarely used it.
I'm surprised, especially with Jeremy, that he's not more upset on getting no definition about what this stuff growing out of these guys is. Because like you pointed out in season 1, sometimes it's energy, and sometimes it's fleshy, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's soft. I would thought that would bug you more.
It doesn't matter too much as long as it stays within the same power range. When you have these ones that are just so incredibly powerful, and yet, like, when Kaneki was able to defeat Jason and then encounter this guy, that actually really pissed me off, that this guy just waltzes out of the cell and beats the crap out of him.
Well, you got to remember, Kaneki doesn't have the feelings now that he did with Jason.
Jason,
is that what it was? Stop this. No, it's just, yeah. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh no, power escalation. Oh no, please don't do this. And then subsequently, when Kaneki gets bashed through the wall and winds up munching on some ghouls, and changes and gets like half a mask and gets. I did love the centipede Kagane.
Yes, I did.
It's a very cool look.
Yes,
but again, I get a lot of Bleach feeling from it.
Oh.
The new form.
I was really irritated by that because I was like, don't escalate him that fast. Let him stay where he is. And then to have him encounter and defeat Shinohara to the point of like we thought he killed him. But then Amon shows up and just slices him off. And granted, yes, Kaneki maybe was caught off guard, maybe by Amon's voice, what he was saying, thinking.
Like, remember they established if you eat, you get a power boost, and he ate and got a super power boost. But even when he beats Shinohara, he starts eating Shinohara's armor, which
was fantastic.
Which, guys, and the fact it's Toka's dad.
Oh God,
is the armor when her brother, because her brother fights Shinohara first, and he's like, "That's my dad." Like, you're wearing my dad. That's again. Okay, so who do I root for here? That's really messed up.
You know what I was hoping for is when I saw him eating the armor that he would grow armor.
Yeah, like absorb the power from the Kagane. So it's a minor annoyance for me because I know it's so integral to the series. I kind of give it a pass. But it's more how the power shift happened. I really don't like the direction they're going with the power levels. Like I can't even map it. The fact that Amon's weapon cuts through these things when they were previously deflecting all of these weapons. Yeah. Like what? He has to mentally focus to make his Kagane impervious to blades.
Amon didn't have a scouter on, so we couldn't tell.
Exactly.
But okay, so we've called out a lot of the major plot points of this Prison Break. You know, like I said, there's some other minor characters who meet, who obviously know each other and fight. Sato is there with Hoji, his partner. The Quikwe?
Kinky.
Yes. Quikwe.
Shoot projectiles. I'd be like, can I have one of those?
Yeah.
Can I not have just a sword I hit people with? Can I have a gun?
I sure thought they were bland designs, though, compared to like all of the other.
They have some really weird, like phallic designs for some of them too. Like, where did you pull that off of?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. But yeah, like I said, we've touched on most of the major plot points. After Amon defeats Ken and like calls him out, like, I thought you weren't a monster, right? Now you're a monster. And Ken kind of starts breaking down and crying and like, I just don't want to eat anyone anymore. This is getting ridiculous. The one-eyed owl shows up and saves them, and this confused the hell out of me. And I thought I got another story whiplash. I was like, oh, you've been doing so well, and now because the next episode starts and everyone's back in their locations.
Yeah. Yep, I feel this too. Yep, I feel you.
But it makes sense now because we know there's two one-eyed owls. So it makes sense that the leader of Aogiri would be there to rescue them and pull them out. That made sense, but I thought it was Yashimura. And then when he wasn't like waking up in the coffee shop, I'm like, did he just take him back to Aogiri? Like,
right?
Yep. I was wondering at first when it first showed that in the next episode where he was almost kind of in a quarantine area, you know, some place where you'd expect people weren't around, and you didn't see Aogiri immediately. I thought, oh, Yashimura must have taken him here for his own safety as well as the safety of everybody else at.
Right. He was just in that abandoned building, right?
Right. But then we see Aogiri, and I'm like, I don't have a freaking clue what's going on right now. And why is the owl so big? Like,
yeah,
huge.
He can fly now. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, it feels like a story whiplash. It does make sense by the end of the season. Like, I was able to go back and look at the scene and be like, okay, the pieces now fit. The whole fact that there's two owls makes everything make more sense, especially since he goes and asks, like, who's the one-eyed owl? And he's like, Yoshimura says, it's my son, or it's my child. And I'm like, wait, I thought you were the one-eyed owl. How could? Yeah. And I still didn't even connect there was two.
And I think that's because CCG believes there's still the one owl, right?
Yeah, at this point. Mm-hmm.
That is true. Do you guys think Yoshimura pretends to be the one-eyed owl that they're thinking of to deflect heat from his child as a way of protecting it?
I think that yeah, but he was the one-eyed owl first.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Was he a one-eyed owl first, and then his child also took on that identity?
So he first becomes a one-eyed owl in the flashback where he's trying to protect his child. right before the child gets stolen. So from that point on, whatever he did, he probably did in One-Eyed Owl form.
Okay. We do see Ken struggling with his new form. Like it's basically a berserker mode because in a shonen anime, you have to have a berserker mode, right?
I got a sense of like going through withdrawals big time. Like, oh, that ghoul flesh. I need that ghoul flesh.
That'd be interesting.
Or he's fighting with his mask because he's turning into a hollow.
That's the like
right.
I was getting.
It makes sense.
We see the flashbacks of Juzo that we kind of already touched on, and we get a really great scene with Shinohara, talking to him about like, if you die, I'd be sad, and they're at the zoo, and when they leave, and Juzo switches to the other side because he saw the father and son leave in that same pattern, right? And so he switches positions to match the father and son. I was like, oh man, I like you. Like in 2 episodes, I was going like, this sadistic monster.
I remember you writing that. You're like, he just won, and I don't know if I should be happy or not. I don't think I'm
so confused.
Yep.
Amon, he has a dinner date with Akira and Sato. They go out for drinks. Sato leaves, and this is where Akira's like, I actually hate you because of your father. And then one of my favorite anime scenes in a long time, when she's drunk, he takes her back to her place, gets her water, gets her stuff, and then he goes to leave, and she grabs him by the back, and she says, don't leave. And he's like, are you sure? And I was like, oh, yeah, music. And then she says, don't leave me, father. And he's like, oh, God, what have I done? And he spends the entire night on her patio doing push-ups. And then they
berating himself.
Yeah, they commit to it. She wakes up hungover, goes out to the thing, the patio, sees him. She's like, "What are you doing?" Push-ups. Just doing my workout.
Yep. Yeah.
And then she knows. She figures out what's going on there.
Yeah, she even calls him out on it at breakfast. She's like, so, I've gotten to know you a little bit better, and you're the pervy investigator that does push-ups at his partner's house all night long. Yeah.
Wanted the hookup to happen, made the character connection better because it didn't.
That's how it usually works.
Yep.
But also the fact that she was lighthearted in the morning, I thought added depth to her character, so she wasn't just that plain.
Completely agree.
Technical, agent.
Nitpick: 8,000 plus push-ups. I think something like that. Like, come on, man. Come on.
Plus ultra.
Exactly.
I think one of the things I appreciate about this whole thing was she didn't freak out that he had stayed the night. She didn't freak out that he was in her apartment still. There wasn't this whole weird, covering herself and like throwing him out. I really appreciated that it was just kind of just normal.
As grown men, it is so refreshing to watch an anime that doesn't take place in high school.
Yes.
That's what that is. Well, even these are full-grown adults.
It reminded me of Ghost in the Shell. Like how, the relationship she had with Batao was like, whatever, we're partners. We're both in the military. Forget all that.
Even though doesn't Bato blushes?
Oh yeah, Bato. I mean, how can you not though?
But Jason's spot on. Like there isn't the super over dramatic comedy reaction of 2 adults in an adult situation, and that is so refreshing.
Yep.
You're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the CCG forms the Owl Suppression Task Force, and their job is to stop the owl and stop Aogiri. Also, a new character shows up at the coffee shop.
Yeah, that's right. That girl. Don't
worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Nope. For a second there, I thought she was Nishiki's girlfriend, and no.
I think she was literally comic relief.
Really? I'm not too happy with that comic relief. They didn't really need it. I think they probably thought they needed to lighten the mood, but
there are so many characters in this season, and
you complained about that the first season,
guys. We haven't talked about all of them. There's so many names in my notes because you don't know. Like they walk onto the screen, they're like, "Hi, Donata, the priest ghoul," and I'm like, "Oh, Donata, the priest ghoul." And then 5 seconds later, we never see them again. I'm like, ah. And yes, here's a note: Roma, new girl at coffee shop.
I was about to say your notes must just be a mess by this point.
Yeah, I was not happy, especially when I watch an English dub, getting the names right because I have to hear them and then phonetically spell them, and that's why you've been hearing me say Shinohara and Shinohara, because I hear something different and then it gets stuck in my head.
Or Saito instead of Sato.
Yeah, his name actually goes back and forth in my
Or
notes.
Biba instead of Beaver.
Yes, it's
Juz-
always Bieber.
Juzo was Junko at one point from
Oh wow.
Danganronpa. So okay, let's keep going. Ken again struggling with his new powers. It's kind of like the anime checks in with Ken, and almost every episode he was doing what he was doing last episode. So don't worry about it.
I kind of like that actually. I don't know. I don't mind that he's battling with his own inner demons over in the corner somewhere. As long as the story you're telling me while he's doing that is really good.
That's fair.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's great.
The scene with Hinami asking what love is, and this whole little arc is she just shipping Toka and Ken, or does she also have feelings for Ken?
Both.
I saw both. Yeah,
I saw both.
Okay.
She's romanticizing the idea of being in love with him, but she knows that Toka is for Ken.
Yeah, she's seeing all of the same behaviors that are being described to her coming from Toka, but she's got that kid crush. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And here's in my notes, Kiyama visits the coffee shop, talks with Yoshimura, reports on Ken committing cannibalizing. So this is after the prison. I still believe he was doing it before that prison scene. But
He might have been.
Yeah, it's possible.
But I don't think the anime says.
No, there's no evidence in the anime.
One thing someone told me, and I think this is secondhand, like hearing from the internet, is that in the manga you get to see Ken's inner thoughts. Like you get to see what he's thinking throughout this. Whereas
there's a lot of thought process stuff that's skipped in the anime, but it's even more so in the live action, which is really funny. Like we get more of his inner thoughts than like you do in the live action, which is one of the big complaints.
Interesting.
Kiyama takes Hinami out to coffee. I would never let
No
a child go out with that man.
He asked her to coffee. I was like, what? No.
We've been down this road before.
Okay, question. Other than Ken, he's not a cannibal, though.
Oh, yeah, he is, but only at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
But you get powers if you cannibalize.
I don't think you get powers unless you cannibalize a lot. And perhaps a lot.
I was on the impression Ken is a special case because he's half human, so it's not cannibalism to him.
I don't think so, because the other ones aren't necessarily half human. I mean, we do know that one is, the owl girl is, but if you're talking about the guy with the blood, like his Kagane is like blood and they can tear his body apart and he just reforms.
Right.
I think he's one of them too, and I don't think he's half human.
So my question is there why do we think Kiyama's a cannibal other than wanting to eat Ken?
The fact that at the Coliseum they say, we don't really like ghoul meat, but sometimes we have it. So I don't think that he's constantly a cannibal. I think that'd be boring to him, but I think he probably has a few bites here and there.
Has dabbled.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't seem like any of the other ghouls are worried about him eating them. Like no one seems all that worried about it.
Well, there's also remember when the three guys were beating Nishio up, Nishiki in the first season, and they're like, "We're gonna cannibalize him." And there were cannibalism was talked about quite a bit here and there in the back alleys. And so I think if it's something that you cannibalize once or twice or even a dozen times and you'll immediately turn into this crazy powerful thing, it would probably be more prolific or more people be more scared of it.
You might have to have main character gene.
Exactly.
Okay, so they go out for coffee and then he goes to sniff blood in the bathroom.
Yes.
And then Takatsuki, the writer, shows up randomly and talks with Hinami and basically tells her, like, you need to give up on Kaneki. Just friendly advice. I don't feel like that's going to work out for you.
Which felt weird, this whole scene.
Yeah. Then the writer goes to the CCG, and this is where she talks with Shinohara Shinohara, I will get it, and Juzo, and ask them like, hey, do you think a human could be turned into a ghoul? Which was funny because Juzo just learned that answer.
And Juzo was like super uncomfortable this entire interview.
Yeah. And then she drops the hint of, there's that coffee shop in the 20th ward. They're wards, right?
Yeah, wards.
Yeah. And kind of hints that you should check that out. She doesn't tell them there's ghouls there. What does she say that
they make good coffee?
Yeah, they make great coffee or something like that.
It wasn't just that though. It was something to make them go investigate. It was she hinted at more.
I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
So they go to the coffee shop. But okay, before that scene happens, there is the big scene of Ken comes to the coffee shop, and we don't see it from Ken's point of view right away. We actually see it from Hinami and then Toka's point of view, because Hinami sees him, runs out to get Toka. Toka runs back to see him, misses him, but catches up on a bridge, and they basically just get into a fight, and she punches him. She's girl in love being scorned, right?
Yeah. I actually, my favorite part of that entire exchange was the after effect when she's talking to herself in her bedroom, and she's just like,
"Stupid."
Like, I finally get to see him after all this time, and I punch him. Oh, that's gonna make him want to come back. Ugh.
I actually thought it was going to make him come back. I thought, oh, this is going to be the turning point. He's having doubts now, and she said this, and then that's not it.
No, because she clearly wants him now. He's got something even more important to protect.
Right.
And then, the doves come by, and they meet Yoshimura, and Shinohara clearly recognizes him.
Oh, haven't we met before?
Yeah, I've heard your sweet voice.
We then get we jump back a little bit. We see from Ken's point of view him talking to Yoshimura, asking about the one-eyed owl, which he tells about the child. And then Yoshimura has a great love story about falling in love with a human. Guys, pregnant woman eating human flesh to feed her baby.
Wow.
Oof.
That scene was impactful.
Yeah.
That's love.
We're in the half of the anime where I'm falling in love with the anime. So I have much less nitpicks now. And this is kind of one of the starts of it. This is a great flashback, and it instantly made me care about this character.
Yeah. Again, I gushed over bad guy turn good guy, kind of, that reforms ghouls, that there's a better way of living with humans. Like, that's just, it was gold.
They die naturally. We don't have to kill them. There's lots of bodies.
The CCG then starts preparing for the big attack on Teku, the coffee shop.
Oh, dude. And they hand out everyone a last will and testament to fill out.
Guys, those letters were
cool.
so good. Like, it's just the tension that starts building from the moment Shinohara and Juzo leave that coffee shop till the end of this anime. It's just like this up on this roller coaster. Yeah, and you can feel it. The CCG agents are writing wills, and each one has their own way of doing it. What does the one guy do? He just leaves it blank. Oh, that's so cool. Not really. He can never think of anything to say. Like, just every single one was so personal and so specific. It really was good.
I've never seen an anime do that before with big military conflicts or even just group conflicts, and very effective. Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's like, we are going to go against monsters that are going to slaughter a lot of us. We all need to be prepared to die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you stay in that job?
Right?
Ken finds out about it from the news. They're literally evacuating the entire ward, which, since humans look like, or ghouls look like humans, I would think that wouldn't be very effective. But
yeah.
Hey, everybody should get out. Yeah, we should.
There's got to be some kind of like pheromone detector, a scent detector or something. There's got to be something, some way to test a biometric to see a ghoul.
Well, there was in season 1. They did have a test. Remember the old lady? They there was a flashback with the old lady, and he tested her, and I was like, "Hey, everything came out fine." He's like, "Everything didn't come out fine."
Human thing, but I mean, I think like even just something portable, there should be something.
Yeah, it's called a knife. If you can't stab it, the knife breaks.
That's a good point. I mean, what if you're wrong though?
I forgot they were that durable. Okay, there's also a great scene with Amon at the grave of his old partner, and Akira shows up. And she kind of chastises him, like, "I'm not, or old friend, or I'm not your old friend." It's the girl from the flashback with the twins, right? That he was visiting.
Yes, that is exactly.
His old partner died, right?
Yeah, the girl that died.
Yeah.
And then Akira is like, "I'm not her, and I'm different, and I can prove it." And she grabs him by the tie and she kisses him, and it's like one of my favorite powers.
But she doesn't kiss him.
But she doesn't kiss him. He puts his hand up and blocks her. And
Yep.
again, the tension's building. This romance is now also palpable. This whole thing is just, the anime presses the brakes and is like, let's just wallow in this. Let's just swim in what we've built here.
This is in the tease Troy category.
This is like how you get Troy to cry.
Yeah.
101. Also, so Shinohara goes in for one last cup of coffee with Yoshimura, and they have a cup of coffee together.
It's late at night. They're alone in the coffee shop together.
Mostly.
And the conversation they have, where he talks about, even if you have bad beans, if you spend time with them and you work with them, they could turn into a great cup of coffee. I was like, oh my god, don't fight each other.
He's talking about ghouls, about how we can redeem the ghouls. It isn't about what they came from, it's about what you do with them. And then after Shinohara leaves, isn't that great? Again, the tension's building. The music's playing. Like Doom is on the doorstep.
And he's like, no, don't worry. This cup was on the house. He's like, I could pay for it. He's like, no. And then there's just silence. And I'm like, no, don't kill each other.
Right?
And then after we go into the scene where he has coffee with his two employees. Now, I complained about these two employees in the last season because I was like, okay, there's also just these two, a waiter and a waitress at the coffee shop. This whole season.
Good.
Guy with a pompadour, and they're just saying random comments, and he keeps calling himself the Ape Beast. Guys, they've also been referring to these characters in the CCG the entire anime. They talk about the two gangs and how rampant they were in the 20th Ward and how they just disappeared one day. Yeah. And I never picked up on it at all. And we're going to find out these two characters were the leaders of these gangs. And Yoshimura went to them and redeemed them. And they now are like honor bound, and they love him, and they're not leaving. They're like, yeah, we know death is coming for us, and we're here to face it with you. And they have coffee together. We need to talk about them. Como and Idami, the devil ape and the black dover.
Not only were they like rampant killing humans, they were also rival gangs. Yep. They were in a turf war, which they alluded to in the second episode or first episode of the first season. Mm-hmm. And how those turf wars had ended. And yeah, this was fantastic because, all three of them had every chance to evacuate with all the other humans. But they felt that, yes, we're decent people now, but we still need to pay for our crimes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What? You have two former gang leaders and the one-eyed owl, who's a monster of a ghoul, and now they're all just relatable people.
And the redemption, if they go down, they know the 20th Ward will become safe. Everyone will assume that it's gone, and it'll protect all the other ghouls and their friends. So it's not just punish me for my crimes, but it's I'm going to truly redeem myself for my actions through this sacrifice.
And this is such a beautiful, beautiful way to bring these characters that have literally been, every time we see a scene in Ontaku, there's these guys that we have no idea who they are.
Yep.
I thought they were comic relief. Like, I cared so much for the devil ape by the end of this episode.
Oh my god, yes. And like it reminds me of in the latter part of the first season when she when the black dog, the Black Dober girl, was listening to footsteps all the way across the battlefield in some other place and was like, yeah, they're doing this now. He's inside the building and he's over here. And I'm like, man, is that just her power? No, she's really that good. Like these are both S class, I think.
Yeah. Seasoned not only hunters but killers.
Yeah, very, very. Now, while I absolutely loved this, the more I thought about it, the more it kind of fell apart for me. Specifically because all of these soldiers that they're going up against to fight have families. All of them are real people. They're just humans, regular people with their own lives. So the concept that you want punishment, but you're going to go down fighting, taking more lives. But then in the case of the Black Dober, you'll actually leap to protect a civilian, even though you've been just killing lots and lots of these other humans who are putting, I don't know, it's just
I disagree.
Do you? Why?
But I get your point, but the reason I disagree is the difference between. So for the ghouls, the CCG represent monsters that hunt your kind down, and here's an army of these monsters. But then here's the civilian, a person in your community, the community that you really care about, that is now in harm's way. I think on the battlefield, when you're looking at a CCG agent with a weapon in their hand, they're not a person at that point.
I know what you mean, but I mean getting to the battlefield. Like if they really wanted punishment and were willing to sacrifice themselves for the protection of other ghouls and everything like that, they would have just come out and said, go ahead and shoot us. And not, let's see how many of you we can take with us. You know?
No, I think that would have given the CCG license to then continue hunting ghouls in the area. This was a feigned attack.
I'm kind of in between, because Yoshimura doesn't seem to be striking fatal blows.
Right.
I think, I don't know, it might be another scene, but I think
he's striking fatal blows to the regular guys, the minions.
We saw him shoot darts, but then they get up and they're like, they have him in their legs instead of their chest, and they're like, oh, he's so powerful. And I wasn't, again, with this anime with death, it sure seems like a lot of people die and then they're not dead. So it's hard to know how fatal the blows they're even dealing at any point are.
That's true.
And then but I can understand these are soldiers on the battlefield. They chose to be here. They chose to be sacrificed. But Jeremy also has a point. What does the fighting actually earn them? And maybe it's just that, hey, you're literally using our body parts to attack us. So screw you.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know what do they earn by the fight? What do they get out of the fight for them? Maybe it's just time. Maybe they're stalling for something else, but I don't
because understand. if it was a no holds bar kind of all out war, there would be no reason for them to send away the ghouls that they did for protection.
Send away?
Yeah, so like Toka is a seasoned fighter. Like sure, she's not the most powerful, but she can take on her share of swath of minions, right?
Yeah.
This was very much not about defeating the CC.
No, definitely not. But I'm just saying that they see themselves as more noble than they are.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I still loved them, and I thought this was very well executed. But to me, in the end, the more I thought about it, the more it was like, you guys, you really think more highly of yourself than you're acting at this point.
It's something I would need to know more. I guess I don't feel I understand the scene and their motivations well enough to determine if they do or not.
That's fair.
Yeah.
They do get attacked by highly special agents. I especially like the Black Dover's one where he has she took off his lips.
Yeah.
And he loves to pull down his coat and just show his teeth.
It freaks everybody out, even ghouls.
he kind of looks like Vash the Stampede too in his design.
Yeah, he does.
But he's the one who actually attacks and almost hits the civilian, and she actually has to throw herself in the way to protect it.
And it makes the other agents question which I thought was great. I start asking the same question Amon's been asking. Like, wait, she saved the civilian, but you were willing to kill her in order to get your shot. What does that say about you? And he's like, I think I'm justified because she took my lips.
She ate my face.
Yeah, and I loved how they actually had the big vein on his forehead pops out.
But I like that they did not agree with him. They didn't like outright disagree either at the moment, but I don't think they agreed with him.
Well, and I liked his argument too, because he did make the argument that how many people will she kill if she gets away? You know, if we have to kill this one person or let this bystander die as a casualty to kill her, how many tens or hundreds or even thousands are we saving over the span of her lifetime?
I know. That is a logic over emotion decision that I can't get behind.
I know.
Yeah. We've done this stance, Jeremy. So many I do want to talk about the scene because while this battle starts, Ken is actually watching from a rooftop holding his mask. And first, Mishke comes up to him and says, hey, man, I just wanted to come say goodbye. I figured I'd find you here. I'm out of town. I'm going to go bang my girlfriend one more time.
I love how straightforward he is about it, too. No dancing around it.
The only thing that I have with those is there was such a big thing about them being together, right, in the last season, that this felt kind of like it cheapened it. And I get he's leaving for her protection, but just the way he's treating it and trying to be the cool guy about it, I was like, I thought this was like eternal love. You do anything for each other. And now he's like, I'm going to bang you one more time and go.
Maybe it's locker room talk. Maybe he's probably going to go home and just cuddle with her for a little while.
Yeah, in season 3, if she's, she could say no and still be there. And that would make a lot of sense, but we'll see. And then Kiyama shows up. I absolutely love this scene because it took their relationship to such a new level between Kiyama and Ken, because Kiyama does want to eat Ken. He does also care about him as a person. Ken is now so powerful, Kiyama is not a threat. So he's literally reduced to an ally. Like he wants to be an opponent and he can't, and he's stuck in ally position. And I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, the fact that he ends this scene by laying on the ground on his face, just crying, just wailing, because he knows that he can't stop him from going out and being killed by someone else.
It was a nice payoff for like the first major villain of the first arc.
It definitely felt like a Vegeta going, only I get to kill Goku.
Yes. Yes, you're right. And eat him.
And eat him. Right.
So I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Juzo and Shinohara and a couple other CCG agents battle Yoshimura, the one-eyed owl. Juzo is actually the most effective against him because he's so
erratic.
Yeah. They actually managed to really do some damage on him. I love the flashback to Motto giving advice about how to treat your partner and be like, just trust him. And the whole, hey, be careful, just throw me back in, like Jason called out. That was a great scene. And they managed to take him down. They
killed
him.
During this sequence too, like every death blow that they're hitting, or not completely death blow, but every hit that's doing significant mortal damage to this guy, we're getting flashbacks of the ghouls that Yoshimura has redeemed. Like we're getting flashbacks of the Devil Ape, we're getting flashbacks of the Black Dober, we're getting all these different characters, and the fact that he like got Toka into school. And I think that was actually a reference to her being sent to high school, not even college, I think. Because she's like, I'm a ghoul. Why would I bother? Yeah, why would I even bother with school? And so it connected you so tightly to this character as like, I don't want him to die. He's changed. He's not the person he was when he committed the crimes. Who you're punishing now is a completely different person. And very effective. Very effective.
Also, Ken saves Komo and Idami from their attackers because they start losing their fights. They get badly hurt. Ken's able to save them.
I like that.
Yoshimura does die though, and then
No,
well, yeah.
didn't like that either.
God, I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
Because his death was beautiful. It was well earned. It was well written. It was perfectly done, and he took it away.
Yep.
Well, same with both the Devil Ape and the
October, yeah.
October. It's like
That
they
one I was
both-
okay with.
I wasn't.
I wasn't either.
Only because it makes what Ken is doing not worthless. If he didn't save anyone, there's literally no reason for him to be there. This gives him at least to say, I tried and I succeeded at something. I think I wasn't able to save everyone I wanted to save, but I did save someone.
I was frustrated with how slowly he seemed to engage. Like all that time he was playing on the rooftop with Tsukiyama.
Just watching. Yeah,
Like, what are you doing, man? Get in there.
that's fair.
Waiting for the troops to weed out,
Yeah.
So, okay, so a couple quick things. We learned Hide's there. He's stolen an officer's uniform because he was the delivery boy delivering to the CCG, and now he's used that access to get into a uniform and sneak to the battle.
Does not belong. Is not part of the mustard soldiery.
Has no fighting experience.
None.
And after Yokimura dies or falls, a new one-eyed owl appears and is so ridiculously overpowerful compared to the other one-eyed owl. She's twice as big, and she goes to attack Juzo, and Shinohara takes the blow and dies. Didn't die. Dies. Yep. Should have died.
A second time.
Yep.
Because Juzo has a huge emotional reaction to this. Is a major turning point for Juzo's character who couldn't handle death, who didn't care about if you died, and now has a visceral emotional reaction to the death of a character. That's an important beat. Don't take that away from him.
Yep.
Sorry.
I completely agree.
And then we get another really quick fight. We kind of already talked about Ken and Amon clash. You know, they run into each other and they have this big fight. Powering up throughout it. They literally do.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
And there's a moment where Ken saves some of Amon's allies.
Now, Amon's weapon does have a little bit of that prototype armor now on it, so I think there's a reason Amon's stronger.
But here's the thing, though. Ken was able to handle somebody in the full armor.
Okay, so a full thing about this anime is that you have to believe that these humans in the CCG are able to survive a ghoul attack, that they're able to go toe to toe in a one-on-one battle. Even though we've been shown knives can't pierce ghoul skin, they can jump, they run up buildings, like
yes. So hard to believe.
I 100% understand where you're coming from, because they never say, other than that they have weapons built from the ghouls, there's nothing superhuman about the agents. They can just do thousands of push-ups.
Exactly.
Right. I know what's wrong with it, but that is the premise of this anime, that even though these ghouls are super strong, you can do push-ups to get at least close enough to compete.
I mean, One Punch Man does.
Well, yeah, exactly.
100 push-ups.
Something bad word about
man. Amon just hasn't lost his hair yet.
There we go.
He needs to run and
actually
now.
There's a lot of physical similarities there.
There is. He needs some pajamas.
So, yes. So Akita is ordered to go help Amon. So she leaves. Seto, who then gets caught by the white-haired ghoul, and he gets killed. Also, Hide is there and sees this, and the ghouls see Hide. And that's gonna matter. Okay, Ken and Amon's fight ends with Ken winning, but he breaks Amon's weapon again. They both collapse, but then Ken's, I guess, is able to get up, because we see a scene like a minute later. Ken's walking away.
His uber regeneration kicks in.
Yeah.
Right.
I enjoy a good I respect you, but now I have to kill you battle. That's always fun to watch.
Yes.
I did like that.
And then the battle was awesome. It was just the power level thing that got me.
So
yeah, right.
So then we get the arrival of Arima, the super powerful CCG agent who has been hiding in the shadows up until this point. He has a black and gold briefcase instead of a silver one like everyone else, and all his weapons shoot lightning. He's got multiple weapons.
Yeah, one shoots lightning, and one is like a ground tentacle thing that burrows and pops up underneath.
He takes on the new one-eyed owl and wipes the floor with it. Like he's not like jumping around and being acrobatic. He's just boom, got you. Slice, got your arm.
Yeah, the one-eyed owl has to flee.
Yeah.
Now, oddly, he's the same guy that when Mato lost his wife before, there was a purple-haired guy that walked toward the owl in that flashback. I think it's the same guy. And at the time, he's just carrying one of the Dove's briefcases, and he's like, I'll take care of it. I think he picked up 2 briefcases and started walking toward the one-eyed owl in that flashback.
Interesting.
And now he has white hair and a much better...
I'll say this about the character. I'm interested to see where they go with him and what he is, especially since he has white hair. I feel like that's not a coincidence.
I agree.
Our most powerful characters seem to have it. Yoshimura, Juzo, Ken.
So instead of yellow hair, it's white hair.
Yeah, it's white hair. They're super, super cool. SSG.
One thing we need to point out that the one-eyed owl eats the old one-eyed owl before running away. And also Aogiri started attacking everybody. But when Anima starts winning his battle, it inspires all the other agents, and they actually battle Aogiri back and are able to defeat them.
Because inspiration is all you need.
It's feeling.
That is the first shonen thing that's happened.
Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be too hard on it.
Then we get Ken showing up at the coffee shop. He's obviously very badly hurt. He gets to the coffee shop and Hide's there. Made them both a cup of coffee.
Hide actually drug him in, is the impression I got, because Ken collapses.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, I got the impression that Hide drug him over there.
That's what I thought too.
Because the last time I saw him collapse, the next scene I saw him walking, I assumed he collapsed and then walked again.
That would fit.
Okay. But what you said makes much more sense. That Hide found him out on the battlefield and brought him back to the coffee shop. And then we get one quick after credit scene in this episode of the one-eyed owl spitting out her father, and she's like, "Hey, I'm both the writer and I'm the leader of Aogiri and I'm your child and I'm all the things that were mysterious so far."
Hi, Daddy.
Hi, Dad. Also, Yoshimura is not dead in this scene, and yep, I was upset.
Yep.
So we get this really slow scene of Hide and Ken talking in the coffee shop over a badly brewed cup of coffee. And somebody's bleeding. Every few shots, blood splurts all over the ground. And after the third time, I wrote down, "Who's bleeding?"
Yeah,
I have it right here in my notes.
They got me with this. I really thought it was Ken. I shouldn't have, but I did.
He's holding his stomach. It makes sense. But when they showed it so many times, I'm like, wait.
Yeah, that's what happened to me too, because it was like after third or fourth time, I was like, Ken should have started healing by now.
Mm-hmm.
I just figured from a storytelling point, like, yeah, we get it. Ken's bleeding. You're not going to. Oh, no.
Right.
Yes, because Hide ends up being the one. Those ghouls he saw did see him back, and he got badly injured. He's got a huge hole in his stomach, and he dies. After saying, "I knew the whole time. I was trying to help you." And then he dies saying, "I want to go home."
Oh, God.
And then Ken lights the building on fire.
Yes.
And I thought he was going to commit suicide here. But
Did his hair look like it turned black?
It does. They animate his hair turning black. And I think it's symbolical of him turning more back to the old Ken, of him getting rid of that Jason influence or decision he made when he fought Jason to, all that matters is power to win, to protect, and going back to the old Ken. I think that's what it's symbolizing, because his hair is still white. I wrote to write down, his hair turned black, ?
Yes. Yeah, so, it does make a lot of sense, because there's one scene where he says, "I wasn't eating them. They were eating me the whole time."
Actually, I thought that was brilliantly written.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Oh god, that was killing me. Because I was like,
liked it.
that's so tropey and cliche. Like,
It might be, but I mean, it was true. They were trying to take over from the inside.
it's
Well,
true. It's true.
I saw it more as like they drove me to. They were turning me into them,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
like, it really stuck out to me because I remember everyone making a big deal at the end of the season 1 of like, oh man, this new mindset he has is so cool, and I was like, is it?
I still think it is. I just think that he went a little bit too
far. Done the stance.
Yeah.
So
when I fight about it,
did we see?
I just like that the anime addressed it. I came back to it, didn't just leave it behind.
Did we see Hide get attacked, or are we just inferring that he?
We saw one of the ghouls, the one with the body that just regenerates from everything, turn his head 180 degrees around, snapping his own neck to look at Hide.
Right.
We know
he gives the impression.
Right after they kill Seto, they see Hide wearing CCG armor.
Right.
It's heavily implied something happened.
Okay, and did we see Ken light the coffee shop on fire?
No.
Okay.
No, but everything just kind of lit around him to glamorize his hair turning black.
Yeah. It's actually Arima who notices it first because he's like, the sky's red. And I was like, oh, wait, does someone have the power to turn the whole sky into
That's what I thought, too.
But no, he set the coffee shop on fire. It's only, we know it's Ken from lack of any other suspects. Like, no one's there.
Yep.
Hide's dead. He couldn't have done it.
We think Hide's dead. Who knows what season 3 will bring.
Don't do that to me. Someone has to die. This is an anime where everyone gets impaled and doesn't die.
Yep. That was inconvenient.
You want to make a point, Jason, or can I?
No, let's finish up.
Okay. Toka shows up, sees her home burning, sees Ken come out of it carrying Hide, runs after them, and is stopped by Yomo. And she's like, no, I'm going. And he's like, no, I made one promise, and I am not breaking it. Also, guys, I love Yomo's that he used to, like, he was great at making coffee. He just sucks with customers. And so he
Yep.
That was pretty good.
Which is not character building, but because it's Yomo, it works. Okay. And then Ken goes right up to the CCG, carries his friend to them, and goes
striding like amongst their dead bodies.
Yeah. And guys, we talked about the theme songs of this season. Mm-hmm. They brought the opening theme song from the first season back.
Oh, I know. That was
the emotion. I love that. I mentioned I love that song anyway. That song is emotional for me anyway. It's just got such an emotional sound to it. And then to play over this is where I was like getting misty eyed. It wasn't over Hide's death. It was just this scene, just the sadness of everything we just lost. Every character.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Who was supposed to die, walking past corpse after corpse after corpse.
And CCG agents attending to their injured.
Right. And Ken, and just the mentality that Ken's in it. It's all so emotional and dramatic and beautiful. With the song playing, he's carrying his friend. CCG agents are tending to their dead. The dead are all around. And it's so beautiful, especially with the mindset, the music. And then he walks for a very, very long time. And apparently it's a meme that Toka's always running and Ken is always walking.
Oh my God, you're right. You go back to the bridge. That's exactly what's happening.
but like, I guess there's memes of just this scene of like, he just never will ever reach the end of his walk. But he does walk up to Arima, and you hear a bang, or you hear an impact noise.
You hear the click of one of the Dove's briefcases.
Right.
Yep.
And then we come back to that scene after we get a scene of Toka with the sun rising and his weapons in the ground. So we have Arima, who's white, who they're making a big deal of that he has white hair. Mm-hmm. Like they're clearly showing white hair. Pay attention, guys. White hair. And then they're face to face. Then after credits, we get another scene of Toka opening up a coffee shop like she always wanted.
So there is one detail we've missed this entire time. Ken does all this stuff, but like when we see Ken get up, Evan's body's gone. And then when his
That's
partner
right.
comes to find him because they're like, "Hey, fourth unit, go help." The broken weapon's there, but Eamon's gone.
Amon is gone. Do we see a scene of him crying? I thought there was a man crying, and I thought it might be. It's like a flash of a man with dark hair with his face in his hands, and I thought that was Amon. But he's dead. You're right. He's not where with his weapon. Akira went to find him. He's not there. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, and
then,
actually, she's on her knees next to the weapon, just kind of. I don't know if she's sobbing or she's just contemplating, but she's there so long, snow has started to settle on the tops of her hands.
Yeah, because they're calling out like, "Hey, where are you, Amon?" on the radio, and
Right.
no one's answering. Also, with the coffee shop scene, time skip.
A little bit. She looks older.
Yes, it's a time skip.
I would be super into in season 3 with a time skip.
Mm-hmm.
To jump forward like a year or two.
There's
or
a drastic
even
change.
college.
There's drastic changes in season 3.
Right. Which I don't know what the changes are, but I had said this in season 1. Like every season, I know like major. Ken goes through major character arcs.
So this was one of my complaints.
Yeah.
Was I don't know what happened to Amon. I don't know what happened to Ken. There's no final resolution here. Like, here's this profound moment, and they just drop it.
Whoa. We gotta be careful with spoilers here.
Oh, because it's season 3?
Well, yeah, and because it's not in the anime, I don't know if anybody wants.
But this is season 2 of the manga.
I know. I'm saying it's very gray spoiler. So everyone, just Jason's going to do some. Jason's going to do some manga season 2 spoilers. If you don't want to know, please jump ahead like 2 minutes. Sorry, Jason. Start over again.
Okay, so Anima, when Ken walks up to him, cuts him down, and it quote unquote kills him.
Yeah.
But of course, obviously doesn't. And then Amon gets his body is stolen by Arogiri. And I think those are huge details to leave out of an anime because I felt lost at the ending. It was beautiful. I thought it was a decent way to end it, but I was also left lacking. And not having those details was kind of frustrating.
Man, you really hate cliffhangers.
I really do.
So
so it depends on the cliffhanger. Like if it's a, hey, we're going into the next season kind of, but this is what's happening and we're wrapping up crap here, I'm okay with that. It's when it's this open-ended and I don't know. I'm just like, yeah, that sucks.
I remember Dragon Ball Z having a lot of very cliffhangery endings to some of the seasons, especially at the beginning. With the whole Earth invasion arc and Raditz and just everything that happens in the first few seasons, I remember it being very, very cliffhangy. Of course, that was to keep me coming back on Toonami. But do you find that bothers you in most shonen that do this, or do you think most shonen don't do this?
It bugs me because for instance with Bleach, they did it too, and it pissed me off every single end of the season. In fact, at the end of season 3, I stopped watching because I was done with it. My Hero Academia didn't do the massive cliffhangers. Yeah, they leave a lot open and they leave you wanting more. But what happened in that previous season usually either gets mostly wrapped up or at least put in a package that you're okay with. Excuse me.
I disagree, Jason. I actually think I prefer it the way the anime did it. I like this cliffhanger. I
hate Choose Your Own Adventure.
Amon's missing, but I don't know where. Ken is facing the CCG. I don't know how they're going to react to it. I'm excited. I'm actually excited to go and on my own. We're not doing it on the podcast, but I'm excited to go to watch season 3 and figure out what happens next. I don't need to see I don't need to see the spoilers you mentioned.
Well, I mean, they're mostly explained in the first part of season 3, which, like, you know, that's just obvious. But
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Of a game.
I'm comfortable with where they ended it, even more so than way better than season 1.
Oh yeah,
no battles are in the middle of happening, and I think most of the stuff is resolved, and I'm excited to see where we go after a time skip. And with the time skip and these little bit of mysteries, there's some good storytelling to do there. I'm good.
that's not a little mystery, though, is the problem. These are my main characters that I've cared about for 2 seasons that you go, guess what happens to them? You don't know, and neither do we. And hopefully there's a season 3. What if this had just released and then there was never a season 3? I've watched too many offshoot anime that do this, that never get a second season or never get a third season because they don't get the funding. And then here I am just like left with bitterness.
Yeah, I think it does a good job of setting up the next season to make me want to come back and see it. I don't know if everything was tied up. I don't know that I would actually come back for a third season. It's almost like they have to get a hook in my cheek like this. Well, I mean, I've got like
our time is precious, Jason.
So many things I want to do, and so many other animes that I need to watch. Right? Like
My Hero Academia season 3.
Yes, and yeah. So, and 7 Deadly Sins.
Okay, we gotta wrap up.
Overlord.
We all think Jason's crazy. Jason, it's your anime pick. I need a final review from you.
I'm going to slap a 4 on this. I don't think it was perfect. There's obviously some things that I didn't like, but there was also a lot to love about this anime. As far as a total score for 1 and 2, I'd give it a high 4, almost a 5, because this is definitely a you should watch it recommendation.
Okay. Jeremy, how about you?
I am so caught between a 3 and a 4. Like, I really enjoyed the anime, but there's so many little things that
push-ups.
Yes, there's so many things that bug me about. But is that the world though? You know, is it the anime and the anime's presentation, or is it part of the world building that I don't like? I'm not really sure. I think I'm gonna go with a 4. Can't do it. I can't bring it down to a 3. It's a very low 4 for this season, and a solid 4 for both seasons together.
Okay. A high 4 for this season for me. Only not a 5 because of I still think they had some of their issues in the first couple episodes. But a 4 for the whole thing overall. There's enough good points to make season 1 worth it to get to this great stuff in season 2. Okay, so our next anime that we're going to be watching is How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. And it is a ecchi, what is it called? Ishiki, or where regular human goes to a fantasy world through a video game.
Yes.
Jeremy's picking it, and it's right up his alley.
Now, I've heard that there's some scenes in it that might be a little bit too far risque, so we'll see. But I mean, it's only rated for PG-13, so it should be fine.
Do know that it's ecchi though? Like,
yeah.
Think
how am I supposed to watch this on the bus?
That's why I picked it.
So that is our next anime. If you have any comments on that or on Tokyo Ghoul, you can reach us on our Twitter at Baka Podcast, or email the animebakaclub@gmail.com, or leave a comment wherever you found this podcast. It was a long one, but we had a lot to say. We do have to get going. We hope to see you guys for the mini-sode, which should be fun. All right, let's say goodbye.
Thanks for listening.
I don't want to eat anymore.
Sayonara.